Do great work and you'll be seen. The trust, the bigger projects, the money, they follow the quality of your work. Most of us think that's how you get recognized. And I followed this for many years. It isn't true though, and I can prove it with only a few years of my own career. At a company, 2 jobs back, I got promoted twice in 3 years. And I was getting better at the job the whole time. But I've been getting better before that too, and that got me nothing. The growth was steady, but the outcome wasn't. One variable moved between the work that went nowhere and the work that got me promoted. And it wasn't the work. I started reporting it, which is the most obvious advice in the world and also the advice that makes your skin crawl slightly. And promote yourself is the useless version of that advice. It tells you what to do but never explains why you don't feel like doing it, you know? The reason why you don't want to isn't modesty. It took me like 15 years and a whole new career to actually figure out what that actually is. It's funny because for a while that belief kind of worked anyway, but not for the reason I thought. Not because my work was so obviously brilliant that it announced itself. It worked because I overworked. I did it so much and so much of it was good that the sheer volume of the work I did was impossible to miss, which is the most expensive and the least sustainable way there is to be seen. And some of it genuinely couldn't be seen. There's a week I spent on a migration that quietly deleted an entire category of incident, where the only artifact was a dashboard staying green. And nobody looks at a dashboard that's green. There was a review comment that caught the thing that would have paged somebody at 2 in the morning. And the reward for catching that is that 2 in the morning never happened. So nobody ever found out that it almost did. That's real work and it's structurally invisible. The better you do it, the less there is to see. But those are comfortable examples and they let me off too easy. Those 2 examples were invisible by nature. Most of what I did was not. At that company, I led feature development. I owned the clinical side of the product, the part where getting it wrong actually hurts somebody. And underneath that, the unglamorous half, making services faster, cutting error rates, stopping failures before they happen. So the first part is perfectly visible work. I just never claimed it. Because I was almost proud of staying visible. I'd lead projects and I let the win go as a team win. Every time I never put my name on anything and I never said I did this. I thought that was humility. I thought that claiming your own work was a little embarrassing, a little needy. Let the work speak for itself. That's what I believed in. The work doesn't speak for itself. I keep having to learn this, and I'm still bad at it. Today, right now, promoting myself still feels a bit gross to me. That reflex is decades deep, so this isn't a video about someone who solved it. It's a video from someone who finally understood what that was costing him. So tell me, when was the last time you did something that was genuinely good that nobody with any power in your career ever found out about it? Self-promotion. That word kept me quiet for years. It sounded like posturing, like the people who talk more than they actually ship. I'd rather be invisible than be that. What got me past it isn't a pep talk. It's just how the system works. Think about what a team actually is. It's a distributed system. Your manager, your skip level, the person deciding who leads the next big thing, they're nodes. They hold a model of what's actually running, and that model is built entirely on what gets reported to them. And in a distributed system, work that never gets reported is invisible state. It isn't undervalued, it's more of underappreciated. As far as the system is concerned, it's not running. That changed how I felt about all of it. Nobody was withholding recognition from me. They were reasoning correctly over the data that they had. It's like I was the one that shipped the service without telemetry. You would never do that in a system you own. You'd never deploy something silent and then blame the on-call for not knowing that it was down. That's not humility, that's missing the exporter. That's the reframe. Making your work visible isn't marketing, it's instrumentation. Same discipline you already applied to every system that you respect. Point it for once at your own system. I made this exact mistake before. 15 years earlier, in a field that has nothing to do with software, on something I loved more than any job I've ever had. It probably cost me that, and I still didn't recognize when it started happening to me again. That's me. 15 years ago, give or take. I was good. Not internet famous, but good enough to win local contests. Good enough that going pro didn't feel like a fantasy. It felt like a plan. It was the plan for my life for a while. And here's what I believed all the way down. If I skated well enough, someone would find me and the skating would speak for itself. Land enough tricks and win enough contests that the sponsorships would just come. They would arrive because I'd earned them. Same belief 15 years earlier and a whole different career. Because here's what actually builds a skate career. And nobody tells you that when you're 14. It's not the contest, it's not the footage. Sponsors don't sign the best skater at a park. They can't see the best skater at a park. They sign the one with the part. The one who filmed and edited and put somewhere people could watch it. The one who was on top of everything else, visible. I didn't film though. I thought filming were for who needed to show off, kind of. I also didn't have the resources to do so, but that's a whole different story. I just skated and I got a few small sponsors and it was enough to make me feel like it was working, but it was never enough to actually do it full time. And that dream just faded out. No dramatic ending or anything. It just got quiet. Now, the friends I came up with, the ones I competed against, a lot of them made it. And they were exceptional, genuinely exceptional, and they deserve every bit of it. But they also understood something that I didn't at the time, and I kind of refused it at the time. They filmed, they promoted their own skating without flinching, and the visibility bought them opportunities, which bought them more time on the board, which made them even better. It compounds. I watched people I could hold my own against pull permanently out of reach. And I told myself it was because they were more talented. Some were, but that's not why they made it. They made it because they let the world see them. While I was standing in an empty street at midnight, just landing tricks nobody was watching, waiting to be discovered. I'm very proud of where they got. And it took me many years to actually recognize that I wasn't just beaten, you know. I just never showed up to the part of the game that actually decided it. Same fantasy twice. One blind spot. I thought the work was the whole job. There's a phrase in skateboarding for exactly this. When someone lands something incredible and nobody filmed it, the culture has one ruthless response. No clip, didn't happen. You can land the trick of your life in an empty lot at midnight, and if there's no footage, it didn't happen. Not because it wasn't real, because nobody saw it. And the thing nobody sees may as well not exist. That law was running under both my careers the entire time. The skating I didn't film, the work I didn't claim, same law both times. I did the trick and I skipped the clip. There's a second objection underneath that one, and I used it for many years. My company promotes the loudest person in the room, and I'm not becoming that. Sometimes that's just true. Some places are broken that way, and no amount of instrumentation actually fixes a broken system. But be careful with that sentence. It's the most comfortable sentence in engineering because it explains everything, but it asks nothing of you. Here's the test that I run on myself now. The loudest person you're picturing, are they being rewarded for volume or for legibility? And it only looks like volume from where you're standing. For me, it was the second one, far more than I wanted it to be. Remember the phrase structurally invisible? Well, something changed this year that made a lot of our week exactly that. This year, researchers asked 700 engineers and engineer managers where their working day actually goes now. Their own estimate, about 31% is basically an invisible work. Reviewing code that AI wrote, fixing it, context switching to keep track of it all. Nearly a third of your week spent on work that no dashboard in your company actually sees. So this isn't my old blind spot anymore. It's the condition for the job now. More of your work than ever is real, and it's hard, and it's worth something, and it's emitting nothing. The invisible state isn't the exception now, it's most of the week. Which means instrumenting your own work isn't a personality trait. It isn't a nice to have. It's a skill. Uncomfortable news, and the hopeful news too, is that they're the same news. You can learn it. Back to those two promotions. None of what I changed about was the work itself. 4 signals. That's the whole exporter. And you already own every artifact it runs on. 1. Report continuously, not at the end. I used to export outcomes. Here's the thing, it's done. Now, I report decisions while I'm still making them. Here's what I'm solving, here's the approach I picked, and the one I threw away. Here's what I'd look first if you were the one reviewing it. That last part is not politeness. Telling people how to read your work actually makes it more readable. When you lead something, you say, I led it, not arrogantly, accurately. The other half of reporting is the half that nobody does. When you find something structurally wrong, the thing that isn't your ticket or the thing that everyone's been stepping over for a year, that goes in a thread. Here's the problem. Here are the two ways out of it. Here's what each one costs. And here's the one I'd pick and why. Plenty of times I disagreed with my own recommendation. That's still a win. And it took me years to actually believe that. Because afterwards, record doesn't say he was wrong about the fix. It says he's the one who found it. The only version of this that loses is the one that nobody knew there was actually a problem in the first place. And when anyone just agrees with you and the thread feels like it was pointless, it wasn't. That thread is the artifact. Agreement in public is a record. Agreement on your own heads to nothing. 2. Let the data claim it for you. Everything I shipped after this went out with a public dashboard, linked to the team channel, showing whether the thing actually did what we said it would do. And then I waited a few days, a week, long enough that it stopped being noise. Then I posted a chart. The wait is the whole trick. A launch post is an announcement, and everyone has one of those. A chart a week later showing that the error rate dropped and it stayed down is evidence. And it argues on your behalf without you having to be in a room. You never have to say, I did this. The number says it for you. In the work with no natural metric, the migration that deleted a category of incidents, the page that stopped happening, or things like that, you invert that one. Find the number that would have gotten worse if you hadn't done this. Put it in a chart, post it every month or every week, whatever cadence you find that is reasonable. You're not proving that you did something impressive, you are making a non-event leave a trace. 3. Review it like it matters. Read your teammates' designs and pull requests properly, and say what you actually think, including when you disagree with the decision, not just when there's a no check missing or something like that. This one surprised me because it isn't about my own work at all, but reasoning about someone else's decision in public without being a jerk about it. That's most of what people mean when they call an engineer senior. And there's no silent way to demonstrate it. 4. Make your manager's job trivial. For years, I thought that talking to my manager about my own work was lobbying. It isn't. Somewhere in a room I'm not, somebody has to make a case for me out of evidence I'm not there to supply. They're not withholding that case. They just can't build out of nothing. So the decisions, the dashboards, the problems you flagged, hand all of it over in a form they can copy and paste straight into a document. That isn't managing up. That's giving the person whose job is to advocate for you something to advocate with. And one rule runs underneath all 4. Report the misses the same way you report the wins. You already write blameless postmortems for systems that you built in public, right? What broke, what you learned about it, but I bet you probably never once wrote something like that for your own work. Visibility built only on wins reads as marketing. Visibility that includes the misses reads as trust. That's it. That's the list. And that's the entire difference between the work that basically disappeared and the work that got me promoted twice. Not that I became a super better engineer, but that for the first time, somebody could actually see the engineer I was. None of it is volume. All of it is legibility. And then I fixed it and everything was great. That would be a lie, and you'd smell it. The promotions were real, and then I left. I joined another company. So it was a new company, new people, and nobody had ever watched a single piece that I built before. And everything I built up didn't come with me. Not the skills, those travel fine, the visibility, that resets to 0. And that's when I found out that part that nobody tells you. Instrumentation isn't something you install once, it decays. Every job change, every reorg, every new manager, your telemetry goes back to nothing. And the person making decisions about you is reading a dashboard that's only been up for 6 weeks. I've had to rebuild it from scratch once again. I'm rebuilding it right now. This isn't the ending I wanted for this video, but it's the true one, and it's a more useful one. So in the end, I can't get that skateboarding career. That dream is gone, and it didn't have to be. I just didn't understand the game I was playing until it was over. But the second one, I caught it. Same stakes, same fantasy, and this time I saw it while it was still time. Maybe you are in between one of those stories right now. You don't have to lose the thing to learn the lesson. The work matters. It's the whole foundation, and no amount of visibility saves you from bad work. But the work has never, not once, been enough on its own. And the gap between those two worlds is where careers are actually won or lost. That clip you just saw, the reason it exists at all 15 years later is that for once, somebody pointed a camera at me. One of those few times I let the work be seen. And it's the only piece of that whole dream that still exists. So do the work, but make sure there's a clip. Thanks for watching.